It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. Have you ever just had one of those days? I know you have. We all have. And it's time for that Friday Agile, Not So Agile episode of the Daily Stand Up Podcast. And this is one of those days. It's a day to celebrate, it's a day to rejoice. But I thought of a quote that I remember reading. I believe it was from Winston Churchill, but I'm going to break down this quote because I think it's really something that can uplift us if we understand it, and it covers three different topics. So the first topic it talks about is success, and I think that sometimes we don't know how, or we don't take the time to actually define what success really means to us. For some people, success could be spending more time at home with their family. For other people, success could be materialistic. For some people, success could be achieving the highest point in their career. For other people, success might be traveling around the world. We all have different definitions for success. But the question is, there's one thing that all those success stories have in common. So if I ask you to find a common thread, there's a common thread of success it's incredible if you think about it, and it transcends all those different genres. And it's the fact that success is not something that it's one and done. You don't just get successful and then just stay successful. It doesn't work that way. Success is a path of continual progression. Now, the other thing that's interesting is that you can have success, but in order to have success, you have to dare to attempt. I remember it was a quote from Steve Harvey, or it was a story from Steve Harvey, and he was talking about how some people are cheated out of their opportunity. And he was referring specifically to African American males. And he said, sometimes they don't have a mentor that will guide them or lead them up the mountain. And even if they do have a mentor that'll guide them up the mountain, sometimes they don't have someone that can help them understand what the right supplies are in order for them to be successful in their journey up the mountain, so that they have everything they need so they can be successful. And then sometimes when you get on the mountain and they don't have anyone to tell them that it's hard and that it's not just going to be a simple trek up the mountain, that there are pieces that have to be there are things that have to be prepared in order for you to be able to have a successful climb, especially if it's a large mountain. But then I think this was the most inspiring part. He says that these men oftentimes worry so much about the parachute, about who's going to save them, about what's going to happen, about a definitive answer, about knowing that they're in 100% safety and are afraid to take risk or chances. He said that young man or young woman will never learn their fullest potential until they jump off the side of the mountain and without the parachute and discover that they actually have wings to soar. And I thought that was just such a powerful quote because it talks about success in a state that I've never heard before. That, in no way am I encouraging you to jump off a mountain without a parachute, but it's one of those things where if you don't understand the potential that you have, no one else will. So, with regard to success, the first part of Winston Churchill's quote says, "Success is not final." I thought that was pretty cool, right? So, success isn't like a final destination. Success isn't something that you get and it's one and done. Success is not final. Success is something much bigger than that. Okay. The second part of the quote talks about failure. And if you've heard me speak about this before, I always say failure is a first attempt in learning. It's an acronym. And as long as you leverage failure to get something positive out of it, if you can pivot, adjust, or do what you need to do, then failure can be used as a very powerful tool to help motivate, inspire, and uplift others. Now, once again, failure is not always used that way. In fact, I've seen people who take failure and weaponize it. I've also seen situations where failure is not an option if it's a matter of life or death, right? But I think the one takeaway that I remember about failure is that it's only very rare when failure is something that destroys you. Failure to check to make sure you have enough fuel in an airplane, knowing that you're going to crash, that's fatal, right? That's no good. But in most cases, failure is not a life or death decision. Failure is a rebound decision. Failure is, how am I going to come back better, bigger, and stronger than I was before? And the second line of the quote says, failure is not fatal. So far for Winston Churchill's quote, we have success is not final, failure is not fatal. Let's go to the third part. The third part talks about courage. Now, courage is one of the Scrum values, and it's something I talk about a lot in class. But what I can tell you is that, especially with this generation, I'm discovering more and more people who don't have courage. Whether it's courage to call out a problem, or courage to make a decision, or courage to make a change, or courage to update where they are in their career, courage to speak out about something they believe in that's not or speak out about something that's contrary to what they believe in, right? Or speak out about something that they feel passionate about. And I think that it's so important that you have to have courage to do things, but the bigger courage, the courage that I'm referring to, and I'm sure this is the same courage that Winston Churchill was referring to, is the courage to continue, the courage to keep placing one foot in front of the other, the courage not to stop, the courage to stand up for what you believe in. And if you piece this together and you say, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. That yields a very powerful quote from Winston Churchill. And what I can tell you is that these types of thoughts are the difference between success and failure for many individuals. How you handle failure, how you love success and deal with success, and how you look in the eyes of things that scare you and have courage to overcome them. Those are the keys to help you be successful, whether it's trying to be a successful entrepreneur, a successful parent. Doesn't matter what you're trying to do, success at work, success in your personal life. Those all come from making sure that you understand where you stand. So I guess my challenge for you is to figure out, where do I stand? Who am I? Where do I stand? Do I stand up for those things that I believe in? Do I stand in the face of right and righteousness and promote what I believe? Do I understand what success is for me, and have I earmarked what success means to me so that I can start gravitating towards what success means? Have I monitored failure and made sure that I'm not failing just for the sake of failing? There's so many things that you can do, but the key, I think, that ties it all together is, don't be afraid of what the future holds. Keep pressing forward, and I can assure you that if you do that, if you have the courage to keep pressing forward, success will find you, life will find you. And it's important for you to make sure you have the right pillars, but it's also equally important for you to keep on keeping on. So that's going to do it for today. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I hope things go awesome for you. If you have a question about this topic or others, please feel free to reach out to us at learnmore@agiledad.com. We'd love to hear about your topic. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Until then, do take care.